Hello, delicious people, and welcome back to another episode of Intimate Conversations with a return guest who sent me a book. And I believe in us. And I remember the day back, maybe 15 years ago when I first worked with Lisa Gibbons when she was on Dancing with the Stars. And in her radio show office, she had this whole room full of books. And so far, I just have a shelf, not a room, but I feel very, very blessed to have received Jayson's book here, Getting to Zero. And we also have his far more beautiful half with us today. You're very handsome, Jay, but Ellen, his beautiful wife, is with us. So I'm going to read both of their bios and a little bit about Jay's book. And then we're going to get away to the races and have a really beautiful, intimate, heartfelt, honest conversation with a couple that really is walking their talk and making a beautiful impact with humanity. So Ellen Boder, psychotherapist and coach for couples in Boulder, Colorado, has been interested in how relationships actually work for as long as she can remember. Studying with innovative researchers and cutting-edge practitioners in the field of psychology, relationships, and also yoga, for over 20 years, has helped her to integrate her approach to working with people in a sensitive, straightforward, deeply informed, and embodied way. And the most high-level training she does is usually at home with her husband and 2 young children, as she finds her way through the real, raw, and beautiful experience of being deeply entwined with others. So beautiful. And Jayson Gaddis, he is author, podcaster, speaker, personal trainer for relationships, and a global leader on interpersonal conflict and connection. He got tired of complaining that street-level relationship skills were not taught in school. So he founded the Relationship School, an impact-based company dedicated to helping individuals, couples, and teams work out their differences in order to have indestructible relationships. And his new book, Getting to Zero, How You Work Through Conflict in Your High-Stakes Relationships, is out and about. And he has been married to his amazing wife, Ellen, since 2007 and has 2 beautiful kids. And when he doesn't live and breathe this relationship stuff with his family, he pretty much gets his ass handed to him. And so this book has so many wonderful tools. We're going to go through just a few that we can in this podcast, but I really encourage you all to get the book because Publishers Weekly says, that Jayson says, conflict is not limited to big fights and shouting matches. It's also about how to get to zero in conflicts, which is an understanding that resolution can only come through reconnecting with others and ourselves, which is what we talk about here all the time, having an intimate relationship with ourselves, our body, the divine, and our beloved, and our kids. All of this is the topics that we talk about. So welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just for shits and giggles, how was the day? Because we've rescheduled this many a time. I've had quite the update for them with my breakup, as you all know. So a day in the life of the 2 of you. How is your morning? How was your morning?
God,
yeah, it's a little challenging.
It's full.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a Wednesday kind of date morning after the kids go to school, and often it's let's get back in bed or let's drink tea, and we kind of plan our morning. We teach a class often on Wednesday mornings, which we didn't today, but you did. It was just a little bumpy this morning.
Yeah.
We didn't find our flow. We find our flow sometimes, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah. And I think we moved on gracefully from that.
Yeah. More gracefully.
Sometimes we don't.
Sometimes it's like
sometimes we're just like, oh, we didn't really get to connect. We had to get into some other shit instead. But and then we've sort of kind of diverged, and I was teaching, you were in meetings, I had an appointment, came in and out, crossing over, appointment to appointment. So now we're just landing again.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for with us. Thanks for your honesty. When you land, and you're not landing live on a podcast, it's pre-recorded, so don't worry. But what's your quickest way to land? What's your secret sauce for landing together?
I think a hug and a kiss and a long embrace. That's usually what we do. Just just That feels really good. Just to like even a check-in, like just looking in each other's eyes, like, how are you? And I always want to know. I always feel like I'm wanting to know, like by the time I see you in a given day, I'm like, how are you? How have you been? Like,
what'd you
how's your, just like you were, Alina, like, how's your day going? And what have you been doing? And so I think we have a lot of interest in each other's day-to-day lives. So that helps too.
That's beautiful. Was it always like this? Did you in the past, when you didn't do this embodied check-in, what did you or did you not do, and what was life like before? Because how long have you been together again? 2007.
I was just asking you this. I was like,
we've been married 14 years, together 18 with a couple breakups in there.
Breakups before marriage. I think, I mean, there were definitely years, like, I feel like when our kids were really little, we could miss those moments. We didn't always, things weren't paced enough for us to really, I don't know. It would be sometimes we were just like swimming in whatever we were swimming in, but I don't know. I feel like I think we've been pretty good at that.
Yeah, I think so too.
That hasn't maybe been our challenge.
There's something about the way we're hugging and looking at each other now, or embracing. I wouldn't even call it a hug, like just holding each other.
Yeah.
It does feel different than the past for me. But maybe a different flavor. I don't know. Like it's a longer embrace. There's more breaths there. We'll sometimes touch our knees, thighs together. You know, there's like a try to like, let's actually whole body kind of smush each other a little bit.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think there's something about, I would say, I don't know if this would fit for you, but like, it's almost like things are a little like less frantic is what I want to say. Cause like our kids were young and so there was so much going on kind of always.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I think I'm a little more dropped in than I have been maybe when they were like 0 to 9. And I don't know, it feels like there's just a little more space or rhythm.
And I'm a little less stressed, even though I have my kind of chronic low grade stress. That's just like this thin layer all the time, it seems like. I'm less
buzz.
It's a little less.
Yeah, I think we're both a little more slowed down right now. And I'd say in the last,
in a good way,
like we're just like, we gotta be more grounded and paced and just taking better care of our nervous systems. I think coming out of like COVID and all that, like I think we're just more clear about being there for each other and ourselves, like that like you were saying, intimacy with ourselves and each other. It's kind of back in the foreground.
Oh, that's beautiful. I know I'm a mom, and so when they're little, like Lord knows what they could get into. So you're giving each other an embrace, but there could be
you have someone like on your body in between you while you're hugging. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And from all that I've read in the book and listened on social media, like you do the inner work to have that groundedness within yourself, or that dropped inness within yourself. It seems that, how do you say it? Stand for yourself, stand for the other. And then for us in my latest retreats, I take, well, this is actually a nail file, but I take like a dowel, 2 fingers on either side, and we practice, I'm going to dominate, you're going to dominate, or we're going to let what arises between the two of us when no one's trying to win arise. But that doesn't occur until first there's contact with self. And then you pick up the dowel. If you just pick up the dowel and try to make something happen, it's amazing how, it falls all the time. But if you connect with self first and you don't leave self and you stand for the other or connect with the other, this new flow, as you were saying, can arise so much more beautifully. So what would you say? It's a really beautiful exercise. I don't know if you do retreats or that kind of thing, but you do it with eyes closed. It's delicious to watch someone kind of in their head come into themselves, come together, and then this magic begin to arise. What are each of your personal practices that allow you to drop in and embrace yourself so that you can drop in and embrace each other?
Yeah.
He's elbowing me. He's like, I mean, I feel like it's a throughout the day practice at this point. Like when I'm thinking about my heart's been like breaking for the world and for women lately. Like, so I'm gonna try not to cry about it right now, but I feel like that's just a throughout the day practice, just with my breath or with nature. But I have like, I am a yoga practitioner, so I have a long-standing relationship with yoga, my yoga practice, which is a really beautiful, I start my day with that almost every day, and that really, sometimes that's the best part of my day, depending on what the world is bringing my way in some ways, other than my family's always a highlight. But I feel like for me, yoga and is just like an actual tangible practice, but honestly, it's like so many things it's like eating well, getting enough sleep, staying connected, making sure I'm taking in the nature around me, breathing. I feel like I do a lot of things to keep just taking my nervous system back down a little bit. That helps me stay connected.
I like how you start your day getting in your body, getting embodied.
Yeah. That really helps me.
Yeah, and I do yoga about 3 days a week right now, and I walk or bike, and so nature, getting outside, getting away from screens. Connection is a really way for me to be with myself. So connecting with my kids or Ellen here or close friends helps me stay in here or come back here. Those are some of mine.
Beautiful. I want to talk about one of my favorite lines of one of the chapters here in a second. But before I move on, connection, sexuality, hugging, how has your intimacy shifted to more connection, more honesty, more vulnerability, or even more life force energy? I'm very single right now. It's me and my vibrator and the divine, but I still do my best not to just jack off to release the stress and go to sleep. Like sometimes I do, but I'm trying to allow for that sex magic, that the sacredness of that orgasmic energy to be used in my business for my clients, to be used to heal people I'll never even meet, just to send love out to the planet, like to use this sacred orgasmic energy for something. Like the beginning of I'm not a yogini, but I do my yoga to the best of my ability. And I offer the practice to something beyond myself. And it seems to make the practice so much richer than if I just stretch and work out and do my yoga moves.
Yeah.
So has that flowed into your lovemaking for each of your impact, for your family, for humanity?
How intentional.
Yeah.
Well, it's been up and down for us actually for years. And the kid zone and
sure,
we've been through so many seasons with our sexuality. I feel like,
please share,
which feels really interesting and growthful.
And pretty normal. For people who are staying in the conversation. And it's been really rich, I'd say, in the last 6 months or so. In terms of and really positive for me, and also. And in terms of like integrating that into sort of a work, I think it does, for me, there's a translation that's just that energy of life force, sexual energy that I want to be even more expressive, right? And so that absolutely translates to bringing my message out in the world and, because I have a history of just being muted, like a mute button. Muting myself, I should say.
Yes.
Not being muted.
Okay.
I think when you were saying things like vulnerability and like, I was just like, yes, it's, I feel like the longer we're in relationship, the more vulnerable and loving and intimate our sexuality together is, which I find kind of amazing. And just an ongoing part of our relationship that's like, it's creative and we get stuck and we get inspired and like so much goes down there. And so I think that, like, I'd say right now, like our lovemaking is like for us in a way, and for our own pleasure and benefit, and also what Jayson was speaking to, like, so that we can just be fully expressed human beings and here, and we know, and how that translates into the world is potent for us. We both feel more alive and more engaged and softer, and it's so many benefits. So
yeah.
Does that help answer that question?
It's lovely. And for those people listening or watching who are like, okay, we're in the stuck stage right now. We're in the kids got to lock the friggin' door, like, and they're really struggling to make that time for connection. What would you say to them? What did you learn on your journey?
That it's hard to find the time with, young kids and full careers. And then it's also hard to find the energy sometimes too. So I think one of the things I think there's two things I'd say, if it's okay if I start with this. So one is to stay in the conversation. Like you were actually better about this, at like being like, we at least need to be talking about our sex life if we're in a phase of very little sex. And so we kept it in the field as something we're talking about, relating to. How are you with that? What are you wanting? Like, there were times when it's like, God, I'd love to, but I'm so exhausted. So like, there was at least like sometimes a longing for more with each other, but an acknowledgement that we couldn't, just like literally we're falling asleep as we hit the pillow. So keeping it in the conversation. And then also we have, like Jayson said, like Wednesday mornings, we have a whole morning to do whatever we want with, because we have been finding that evenings we're really tired, and our kids are up till 9 now, and we go to sleep at like 9:30. So
like 8:30 now.
And we both get up early to do yoga or movement, but we try to get up before our kids. So, and then, it's just actually having space for that. So we have a time when they're at school that we use, and we have other, obviously spontaneously things can happen, but I think that carving out time, even though people don't like to do that, people don't want to plan it, and I get that it's not like as fun as spontaneous desire, but it doesn't have to be sex. Like we're like, it can be this time can be whatever. It's just time for us to really be together, have our bodies be together, like whatever happens. Anyway, to have like a broad, I just have like a broad bandwidth for what your sexuality looks like right now, like touch, or
for a guy especially, it doesn't always have to end in a certain scenario, climax, and we both get off, and like we have to be careful about those kind of agendas if we're struggling. It's like, let's just be naked and lay on top of each other or next to each other. Can that be a win?
Thank you. Like redefining the success of sex. What is that's, I think, hugely important to take pressure off, and of a win, fulfilling experience, no matter what it looks like. Even talking about, tell me something about you that turns you on. Sure, and you just, and then it's okay. We had a little bit of a conversation there.
And I would add just one more thing. Yes to everything Ellen said, and I would say, just don't turn your back on this part of yourself. And if you're going to, then look your partner in the eyes and just say that out loud. I'm turning my back on my own sexual life force and you, and see how that goes. Because at least it's honest.
See how that goes. Thank you. This show, Intimate Conversations, and in my partnering app, we do conscious connection calls every single week, where we bring people together, singles who haven't met each other and couples that haven't made the time for the conversation to go deep and talk about these things. That it's just easy to stay busy. It's easy not to have the harder conversations.
It's easy to avoid.
It's very easy.
It's easy to, our life is set up to have us avoid everything that matters in a way.
Right?
Awesome.
So let's move over into, this is one of my favorite statements. One second, let me get some water. The closer your relationship with someone is, the more advantageous it is to be there for them when they are upset with you. Is so counterintuitive. Most of us, conflict, run, upset, fix, justify, all sorts of other very ineffective ways of being. So go deeper here with this shift in point of view and what's happened in your marriage and with your clients.
Yeah, I think what Ellen's taught me over the years is, in I think an earlier stage of our relationship, it's like I'm upset, so I'll learn how to be with that, and that was a good step, and that's still important.
Yeah.
And when you're upset, it's important that I also learn how to be with your upset and stay in the room or stay in the conversation instead of I'll go be with my upset, you go be with your upset. It's more efficient. We've learned to try to stay in the room and be with each other's upset and try to downregulate the whole thing together through eyes, through touch, through
listening,
through speaking softer, lowering the tone of voice, or taking a breath, or physical contact. So a variety of things to do to downregulate, really.
I remember when you told me this when I interviewed just you, Jayson, and you now know what happened in my last relationship, and it ended in jail. So when you were saying, I don't know if you remember, when you were saying, just keep eye contact and stay connected. And I'm thinking to myself, this scares the shit out of me. So much so that he got carted off by the police. So how do you know? Because when you said that, I was like, okay, I'm going to try, but holy shit. Maybe I made a mistake being in the relationship. Maybe I unknowingly triggered him. Maybe he wasn't willing to do the work. Maybe it was a bunch of different factors, probably, right? If we all take ownership for our own evolution. When you're freaking out, and if I remember correctly, you were like, keep eye contact, or just maybe reach out and just touch a shoulder, stay connected. To me, when they go from 0 to 60 and they freak, I don't know how to do that. And I didn't say anything in the last interview because I was still living in that house. But like, if someone's really freaking, are you saying still stay there?
No, well, that's a different conversation, I think. Depending on, we have to really take good care of our nervous system, right? And the scared animal in us, as I call it. I don't want to put myself in harm's way. Now, when Ellen and I are in a snag, I might think she's, I'm putting myself in harm's way, or some part of me feels scared or threatened or something, but she's not. There's nothing going on here in our relationship that feels physically or emotionally like threatening, scary.
Right. Thank you.
So when we're in that conversation, if there's physical violence or aggression, or
someone's just really, like you said, freaking out, they're not online. They're not like online.
There's not a lot you can do unless you have an agreement about that. And that would even still be very hard. Agreement outside, like, hey, when you get really big and intense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab your shoulders and look you in the eyes and try, like, that's probably not the best approach, but maybe couples could do that. So I think maybe what you're talking about is a different, I guess, a different level up. But I probably wouldn't recommend that. My recommendation would be get yourself safe as soon as possible.
Like what Jayson's talking about in terms of staying with you, when we're upset, and staying with each other is more of like two people who are invested in getting somewhere better and helping each other, helping both people do that. And if someone goes really offline and loses their shit and is like triggered and gone, like, that's not a workable co-partner in that moment to work together to calm things down or to process feelings. And
but it might be in 5 minutes or 10 minutes when they calm down, or an hour later. Then it's like, can we do some eye contact? And the reason I think I said in that interview is eye contact, when we're making eye contact, not staring contest, but eye contact off and on, right? We're staying more in the present versus going into memory, where all the bad other experiences I've had with you live. And I don't want to compound what's going on here with all the times when you've done this before.
Plus it's harder for, like, we're like this. I am not going to raise my voice the way I would if I was sitting further away, or I'm going to notice if I say something that is upsetting to him, I could fix it sooner. Like, there's a lot of reasons for two people to do that with each other that are more efficient and effective. But again, if someone's not able to do that, then no.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Now I feel more, I've learned so much in the last 4 months since that relationship ended, and learning more with you right now. So can we do just like a baby example of like, piss her off a smidge or piss him off a smidge, and then what that repair and contact really looks like, just to get a flavor. Would you be willing?
Sure. Like, are you talking about like make something up?
Yeah. Or wobble again from this morning, or whatever's real, feels real. Yeah. But like, so we get a sense of where you're not leaving, turning away, blaming, justifying. You actually are leaning in. Like, I love this quote as well. People in great relationships understand that if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for us. And so there seems to be this underlying beautiful, I'm sorry, like a leaning in versus a justifying leaning back.
Yeah.
And it's very foundational. What did you say? A stand for yourself, a stand for the other, and a stand for us. We're in this together. I've got your back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I'm trying to think of something recent where maybe it's like a voice tone or we haven't had. There's not like a really.
Yeah, we've been doing it. We're in a really good phase right now.
Like, that's awesome. I don't mean to break it.
No,
we can mess with it.
Yeah,
we're good.
I think we could talk about just like, let's say you're withdrawn.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
So very common dynamic. There's the conflict that happened yesterday or last night or something, but what couples often deal with is the other conflict that's more subterranean, I call it, where
chronic,
and kind of chronic, where there's whatever we fought about, and there's like what I call it maybe a security fight, or it's just a security issue, which is one partner who's more of a pursuer and wants to work it out is dealing with a person who's more of a withdrawer, who gets quiet and retreats a little bit.
Yes.
Very common, right?
Very.
So let's just pretend that's happening.
Okay.
So let's say you're withdrawn.
You would say something first.
Yeah. So if you're withdrawn.
So, and my withdrawn might be, I just might be tired, preoccupied with a stressor.
Overwhelmed.
It could have nothing to do with us. It's often just a look on my face that has him feel like I'm not that available to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way, right?
And so I'm the more anxious partner in this example. Yeah. So I notice.
Yeah.
I notice her face.
He kind of notices something's up with me before I notice. Sometimes.
So this could go well, depending on how I approach it, or it could go really poorly and she could retreat farther from me. Right?
Okay.
So if I say, what's wrong? What's going on with you? Then I'm like almost accusing, right? And that's not going to work.
Yeah, I can feel it. I want to be like, nothing.
So I might instead lead with, hey, honey, you haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong here or bad going on, and I miss you, and I'm noticing I imagine there's either you're tired or there's something I did recently that has you a little, I don't know, withdrawn or something. And I'm just curious about you.
And how does that land, Ellen, when he first acknowledges? To me, it sounds like maybe the boundaries go down, or the walls go down, or the heart opens when there's a confirmation, nothing's wrong here. And he kind of leans in with that curiosity. What's it like for you to receive that?
It's better. He's a little wordy sometimes. Like he's right now, I'm like, you don't need to say all that stuff. But just, he has a few different ways now that he might approach me if he's getting signals in him that something might be wrong. Because I want him to approach me because I don't want him walking around stressed or like worried that something's not okay. He knows that
it's okay.
It's important for him to speak up. So I can either be like, yeah, I think I'm still hurt about what happened the other day, or I can check in and be like, oh God, am I, and recognize that I'm having an impact on him and that I don't want to have, and I can do something to correct it. Like, yeah, I think I'm just stressed or tired and we're okay. And you're good with me. It has nothing to do with you. And like, he can feel relief, and I want him to have that. So that does work. Something like that works better for me than like, what's wrong? Are you okay? I don't love that.
Thank you. Yeah. And when he says it, the curious way versus more interrogative way. Do you ever say, wow, thanks for asking. I'm so glad you care. Like, does that sort of appreciation ever happen or work or is desired?
He'd probably love that. Would you? If I was like, thank you for caring and noticing.
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't love it, but
something.
I think it would just, it's all part of the reassurance that, no, thanks for noticing. Yeah, I am struggling or, but it doesn't, it's often, because I think the more withdrawn person sometimes feels shame. They feel bad.
Yeah.
And so they're not like, hey, thanks a lot. They're like, oh shit, more attention on me. And I don't want more attention on me.
Right? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm also thinking about like when it's the other way, like if Jason's stressed and I can tell that he's just not that available, like he doesn't feel that available, because this could be him in this scenario too. And it's really important for me, like normally if this isn't just like going on too long about this for you, Elena, but
no, I'm loving it. This is the stuff that happens. It's perfect.
Yeah. Like, let's say he's kind of stressed and preoccupied with something. And my default would be like, oh, I'll just give him space because he's like got a lot on his mind. And so I'll just kind of quietly just kind of pull away a little bit. It can be really subtle.
Yes.
But now I feel like I can either number one, talk about that, be like, oh, I'm doing that thing where like I can tell you're preoccupied with stuff and I'm kind of pulling away, and at some point this isn't going to feel good to either of us. I can talk about that, or I can move towards him too and be like, oh honey, you seem so stressed and you probably don't even want me doing this to you right now. And like he's like, I know, it doesn't even feel very good. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Like I'm like, okay, well, I'm here. Like it's actually feels really good for me to move towards him.
Yes.
And like I can handle him and then I can leave him alone. And so I just feel like over the years
we've had to, and you've gotten amazing at that. And both of those options actually work for me. Either the kind of taking responsibility, I'm kind of distancing now because I'm perceiving you're over there.
You as like stressed and
and shit. Because that's like, oh, thanks. Because you're helping both of us, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to start, drifting.
Yeah.
Because I can drift in my preoccupation with myself and stress and work and stuff. And it also works that you physically reach out.
Yeah, that usually feels good. And that's,
I've learned to be more receptive. In the beginning, actually, it didn't feel that good. It felt more like, don't touch me.
Wow. Which is why she said what she did, which is partially a joke, but partially true.
Right.
But now I'll just say now, it feels good. And I'm learning to have learned and am learning to relax with your touch and allow that to come in as a resource.
When you're feeling stressed, when you need, it's kind of like he needs it most then too, I think. And,
So the trust has built over time to receive.
Totally.
Yeah.
To first let it in, then you can open and receive.
And I wouldn't overdo it, but I might just be like, just something. Well, I'm something. Here just because I think it signals to the nervous system something positive, especially if I'm genuinely caring and not me being more scared of him doesn't help.
And this is tricky, right? When we're scared, it can set off the scary person. Like we can be like, oh, I don't want to.
Like eggshells.
Walking on eggshells might make the edgy person even more edgy. So that it's really tricky.
We're so.
Yeah. And so I would imagine, Ellen, it takes you soothing yourself first, being courageous, like, okay, I'm not going to retreat. So it takes practice first to then risk. Here I go. But if I go towards them all scared, it's not going to go well. So I got to be calm. I got to maybe some humor. Like there's many nuances or presuppositions before this little interaction. So I really acknowledge the inner work each of you do to be your best self for each other.
And so much, we've processed so many different configurations of us over these many years and gotten, I think, just more comfortable with. And really, and like trusting that there isn't something I could do to him or he would bite me, like he's not going to bite me. I know that like ever, he never's done that. So that's big. I have no reason to not move towards him.
Wow. That's really beautiful. Trust is a huge issue for couples and for singles. Let's talk about that for a second. I I don't think I can control another human. I've tried. It doesn't work very well. So to be able to trust another, to be who I need them to be all the time, I think is insane. But I can trust that I can take care of my own back, that I can not reject myself if I'm rejected. And then I can move forward again as my perfectly imperfect self to take an action in the direction of intimacy. What are your thoughts on trust in a relationship?
Yeah, I equate it to security. And one of my kind of core tenets here is it's through adversity between us and our differences and our challenges that we build more trust, more security over time. So that's sort of the frame I see it as, is the more we keep navigating our kids' lives and our lives and whatever comes up between us, it just strengthens the security here and the trust I have in myself and you and our relationship. Yeah.
Because we're repairing and finding our way that works for both of us. Like it's
like, and I would say 100% of the time repairing. It's not like sometimes, it's all the time making sure that we're cool again, what I call zero. Making sure that we get back to that good place is thanks for being specific there.
I love this, because to me it's just one step and it's a slippery slope if the repair doesn't happen.
I think it builds up.
People build up. We get, in our childhood, we had to get good at compartmentalizing that stuff. I mean, like, oh, no one's ever going to fix this, so I'll just be fine. I'll learn how to be fine.
Right.
And that actually works against you as an adult when you keep saying it's fine, it's not that big of a deal, and minimizing, and then years go by and then a big resentment comes out and you explode or implode so we're just big fans of dealing.
And we're both sensitive. Like we can feel if there's a little ripple in the waters, like something isn't as good as it could be, and we want things to be as good as they can be for us. So we do work on repair, and sometimes we get things good enough, but we still have more to do, and so you have to like chunk it down. I mean, there's lots of ways to get there, and some things are bigger and take more time, like figuring out big decisions that we feel differently about, things like that. But I think, trust is so built through taking risks and being better for having done so with your partner. So I think that's what you're explaining is like, we take risks, we do things that are vulnerable, we take stands for things, and we find our way to the other side because we're really committed to that. Too.
And we don't want anyone betraying themselves here. We want to fight for what we stand for or value and figure it out and find our way.
And advocate for what the other person wants and needs. Like when we're doing our best, we're doing that. Like it's not like it has to be my way, because it needs to also be good for him.
Right. What's the presupposition of that? Because I believe if I don't have my own needs met, or if I haven't taken a stand for myself, I can't give from the overflow to authentically be a stand for another's highest evolution. So I can't truly be an us until I feel whole with, I don't know, big me and little me on the inside, like a stand for myself. And then I can like project that inner relationship outward and really, really mean it. What would you say was like maybe the last, and not that we ever get there, but something that was really in the way so that you could actually be a stand for each other? And you were trying to be generous, but you really weren't. You really wanted to be a stand for them, but you didn't really care because you still felt so not met or something on the inside. Am I making sense? My questions?
Yeah. We probably only had a few big ones, I think, in our relationship like that. Like when I wanted to work more.
Oh yeah.
That was a moment where I
thought that was going to go really bad.
And you thought that was initially, it was like, whoa, that's not okay.
Because we had such an amazing setup of both sharing parenting and sharing work. And we both worked part-time and parented part-time. And then when our youngest was like 4 or 5,
I think.
When she was 5, Jayson wanted to go to work full-time. And that was going to change my entire utopian world that we'd created.
Yeah.
And that was hard. That was really hard. But it ended up totally being okay. But
totally. And that was the moment though where you weren't actually supportive. You were like, what? So it was hard for her to stand for what I was doing, obviously.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So how did that evolve within
you
yourself?
had to work through some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm interesting to hear you say that, because I remember it. I was like crying and having I was like I had to leave the restaurant. I was like, I went down a restaurant. We had to leave because I was like,
matter of factly brought it up, and she was like,
felt like a massive change in our life. And I was like, I know you need to do this. This is what I remember. I was like, totally, you need to do this. He was gonna launch a business. Look at what he's done. It's amazing. So I was like, I know you need to do this, and I'm totally freaked out about how this is going to just change our life and our family and my career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I felt like I wasn't saying you can't or you won't. He was probably completely you were completely freaked out by my reaction.
I was.
But I was like, I know I can't get in his way. I know this makes sense for him. I want to do this, and like, oh fuck, like, how is this gonna go for me?
How did you resolve it in order to be okay to support him? What had to happen?
And it was hard. I'd say it was uncomfortable. It was hard for a while. Like it didn't like totally. It was a big ripple for a while, and then I saw. I was like, oh, this isn't actually changing. I'm not working that much less. He's not working that much more. He's still very engaged and involved with our kids. I still get to have my job. Like it was okay, but it took like 6 months at least to a year for that to really settle in a good way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that when you created the Wednesday mornings? Just to be sure.
No, that would have been good.
No, we've gone through cycles of Wednesday mornings, and then COVID hit, and our daughter came in our room for 4 months. So that didn't work.
There was no Wednesday. Kids, everyone was home all the time. We've had like picnics, dates, and evening dates, hike dates. We've had all kinds of ways to try to spend time together at least once a week.
We've been really good about that.
Once or twice a week for a few hours where it's just us focusing on each other. But we've had to be really creative as parents for sure.
Wow. Thank you. So in conclusion, what would you say you most appreciate about the journey you've been on together? About the journey, or about each other. Most appreciate about each other, most appreciate about the journey together.
The journey, I mean, I just most appreciate that I'm on a journey with you. And it's a total journey, and with our kids, and I'm just so grateful about the journey, our journey.
Yeah, I love that. I think I'd say that what I appreciate about the journey is definitely that we're together, that you're with me on this, and that it's as interesting and compelling and inspiring as I was hoping a really long-term relationship would be. Like I had a belief that it could be like this, but I hadn't actually really ever seen it anywhere. So I feel just like amazed that we're on the journey I want to be on, my version of what that means. And I think yours too.
Yeah, totally.
I love it.
And you asked another question. What do we most appreciate about the other person?
Each other.
Yeah.
Like about the journey, but then specifically about each other. What do you most appreciate?
There's so much I appreciate about you.
Thanks.
But I think when you're
allowed more than one if you want.
Okay, there's so much. I feel like you hold up our whole family in such a beautiful way. I'm gonna cry about this. I just really feel like there's like a real strength and resilience and love and creativity to you, and how you show up for my life and our family's life. That it's just like the perfect combination for me. So very grateful.
Yeah. Thanks, honey. Two things top of mind for me is I just so appreciate how you mother our kids and how you look after them. It's just such a sweet spot of yours. You're just so in the zone. How you roll and your eyes, the way you look at them, the way you talk to them. Yeah, you just have this gift there that I don't know that I have. I have a different thing. But, so that, and then how you continue to stay in it here with me. Stay in the fire, and you keep facing you, and you're just so willing to keep meeting me and pushing me and pushing yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with each other and sharing that intimate moment with me and our community, so we can hear, feel, taste, touch, witness devotion. Yeah, that's what I see. Is two humans, perfectly imperfect humans, who keep showing up for the journey, grateful for one another, that has led to a trust and a security and a true devotion to the practice. That's exquisite. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us into that.
And, I appreciate it.
Beautiful. Well, I would like all of you, get Jayson's book, Getting to Zero. Follow him on, where would you like to send them specifically on social media, Jay?
Yeah, we can do at Jayson Gaddis, and that's Jayson with a Y, and at Ellen Bader. You're on Instagram, and it's Bader, Boeder.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said that wrong, Ellen.
It's okay.
Most people do.
Most
so
too. Yeah.
Okay.
And then relationshipschool.com.
Beautiful. Stunning. Well, thank you again so much for your time, and all of you watching and listening. There were gem after gem after gem in this. Please take a moment, just 5 minutes, sit and reflect. Something, if you put into action, is going to change the trajectory of your life, of your relationship. So while this was empowering and inspiring and delicious, allow it to also change your life forever by taking one action from what you learned today. And know that we love you with all our heart. And until next time on Intimate Conversations, all my love.